get started. I was pinning up the coloring book in the comment section. This is a whole coloring book, but it has a blank page every after a page that I created here. I took it at Staples to print it out on cardstock, and they made a terrible mistake where they actually gave me extra papers. So what I do is I color in one page, and then on the next blank page I go ahead and do an original illustration. And this is the one we're working on today. I started this in the last live about 2 days ago. And let's go ahead and start this. So I need Y3, Y2, and YR4, and I'm working on the inside. I also need a white pen, a white gel pen. So the way I do these ones on the inside is I start off with the lightest of these, which is this YR4, and then I go on top of that with the Y3, and then Y2 finishes it off. So let me demonstrate how I do one of these ones on the inside. So the thing with alcohol markers is that you have to be fast. You really have to work a little bit fast, otherwise they won't blend nice. So I start off with that Y3, then I go on top of it with Y4 a little bit to blend it in a little bit more, give it that kind of grapefruit-ish look. I use 3 colors for this section. Then I'll go on top with the Y3, not Y2, sorry. These are Ohuhu markers. They're all alcohol based. Now I'm already seeing where I'm supposed to go with the highlights with my white pen. There's no reason or rhyme to this though. Now I'll go over it with this white gel pen in the sections that I want to stay pure white. Sometimes you gotta wait for it to dry out a little bit. And I use my finger to smudge it a little bit. And I'll go on when it's all the way dry to make the highlights a little bit more vivid. And that's it. Simply that. That's how I do the inside part. Or that's how I at least intend to do the inside part. I'll jump onto the next one already. So these ones that I use have the brush side and the fine tip, but I also just got a set of 320s that have the chisel part and the fine tip. I would appreciate, or I would choose brush part, but it's way more expensive compared to the chisel ones. Ohuhu markers. If you're here, please let me know in the chat. You're welcome, man. You can comment in the chat and let me know what you think, or you can ask me anything in the chat. I'll be glad to tell you anything that you may want to know or hear. And if you haven't subscribed, this would be the chance you would give me a subscription. I'll totally appreciate it. And on top of the chat, I've also pinned the link to Amazon to my coloring book. So if you order that, you'll get this coloring book. Well, this is my own version of it. It's a big one. I'll actually show you what it looks like. Hold on a second. So if you order the book off of Amazon, it will look like this. It will look like this. It's Tattletales Coloring Shells Adult Coloring Book with 2 bonus pages inside. And the back of it looks like this. And if I flip through a little bit to show you guys what it looks like, here I introduce myself. I give you a color test page in there that you could, just test your colors out on to see how they'll work on this paper. And then voila, you go right away to the images you can color in. I'll give you a quick flip through. And I have 2 bonus images in here from my other book. I have this image from my hand-drawn mandalas that you can get in this book. It's an image from a different book. And I have this image as well. These are the 2 bonus pages that I give you with this book if you order it from Amazon. I've linked, the link to it is in the description. I mean, it's in the top chat pinned message. And those are the 2 images that you get as a bonus. But there is 40 different sea turtle images in here that you will get. So this is how it will look like if you order it off of Amazon. And the 2 images that I have in here that are bonus images are from this other book. This is Hand-Drawn Mandalas. It's also my own book. I created it from scratch. And this one is also available on Amazon. If you want this one, just put a message in the chat, say link, and then I'll link it in the description. I colored these ones in with cheap markers here. These are colored pencils. This is just for relaxation. This is colored pencils, markers, cheap markers off of Team markers, 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 markers. And there you go. The images are endless. You get 40 images in this book as well. You can see this page. This is a bonus page that you have in the other book that I just showed you, the Tattletales book. This is the one that you have in there. They're all available on Amazon for less than $10, and you could get them shipped to you anywhere in the world. But that's the hand-drawn mandalas. So now we go back to the image we're trying to create here. And I'm going to take my gel white pen. I'll go back to this one first. That one had a little bit of stuff it left on here. I'll go back to this one first so I can make the highlights a little bit more vivid. So this is for just the inside of the orange. And I try to make them as random as possible. Even though every once in a while you try to go random, but you'll fall into a pattern quite easy. I'm going to go on this one as well. And I'll add a little bit of white into it. Still trying to make it random and with variations, where I put both small and big highlights. So I'll add those on right there. Let me actually add a little bit more here. It looks like it's lacking here a little bit. I just use my finger to smudge it. So, if you just joined in, you didn't see how I did this. I used 3 colors, and I'm gonna use the same 3 colors to go for this one right here. So this one has a little bit of an opener in there. I'm gonna start off with Y3, Ohuhu alcohol markers. I'll start off with Y3, make this one juicy as well. The thing here, when you're dealing with markers, you have to be fast if you want to blend them in a little bit. Otherwise, they will dry out real quick before you can blend your colors. I'll go back on with Y2. Y2 is a darker color. And I'm trying to leave a little bit of space in between where I'm gonna go with the white highlights. I use a white gel pen. I think it's called Uniball. No, it's a gallery jelly roll, not gallery roll. I usually use a Uniball. That's why I thought it was actually Uniball. White ink. It's a gel roll. So I go back on with YR4, which is supposed to be giving it that grapefruit location on it. And when all these 3 colors blend together, they'll create what you see right here. Go in before it dries up. And I'll add a little bit more of the Y3. I'll add a little bit more of the Y3 in there to polish up a little bit. And this is all, as I mentioned before, no rhyme or reason to that one. You just have to be as creative as you want. And that's exactly what I do with all my coloring books. I leave for you guys room to be as creative as you want, while I also provide you a little bit of substance for you to be coloring on. So here, I go back with the white ink, and I start off in the most highlighted ones. Now, I'll smudge the first one I put on paper, like so. And then when that dries, then I'll go back on with still the same pen, and I'll be able to put more vivid highlights. But these first ones, just a little tap on them will smudge it where I want it. So it gives me that look. And then when it dries, I can go back on it and I'll put more vivid highlights like those ones over there. I'll show you guys a little bit of a flip through of this. This was a print out that I did in Staples for my coloring book that they actually messed up, and it came with it came in as a blessing, because when they messed it up, I got extra paper to draw on. So I'll show you guys a quick flip through if you would like. So this is how they bound it. This is what it looks like. Let me put this over here so we don't mess up the white ink we just put down. So this was supposed to be the cover. They totally messed up this, but I got cardstock to draw on. So it will give you, you see the color test page you saw in that book that I told you that is on Amazon, that I'm selling on Amazon, and then they give you a blank page. So what I do is I color in the page that is supposed to be colored in. So if you buy that book on Amazon, you're gonna have this page to color in. And then what is supposed to be the back of it, they printed it over here. So what I do is on this blank page, I do a drawing. So I did this one. This was the first drawing I did in this book. And colored this in, still using Ohuhu alcohol markers, and drew this. This is a drawing of a strawberry, and then colored this in. So you see the pattern: color, draw, and drew this gnome, and one more, color this in, and now we are drawing this orange. So this is how it's gonna go all through the 40 images. At the end of it, we should have 40 different drawings like this, and then 40 colored in images that will come with it. But at first it's gonna have a coloring page and then a blank page on which I draw an original image like this. So I hope by the end of it all, I still have the book intact. My goal is to fit all the 40 coloring pages, and then with 40 different images, original images drawn in there. 1 second, guys, I just dropped my weight pen. There we go, I got it. But if you order yours off of Amazon, it's not gonna look like this at all. It will instead look like this. This is how your book will come to you, with 40 different images. And I mentioned there is 2 bonus pages in this book. So the bonus pages are also pages from my mandala, hand-drawn mandala book. And I'll show you quickly what the bonus pages look like. The bonus pages look like this. This is one of them. There's 2 bonus pages. This is the other one. This is the other bonus page in there. So let's go ahead. Now this is dried. We're gonna add our more vivid highlights. And for this drawing, guys, I'm not paying much attention to lighting. I just wanted to, I'm just going for that juicy feeling. I'm not caring about the lights, shadows, or anything. So that's why I'm putting random highlights all over it, just to make it look just juicy. And of course, I'm getting my workout in with the Ohuhu alcohol markers. If you've been following my art, you should see that I just actually started recently using markers to draw. So I'm getting a workout in there to try to get used to them. I see, wow, 17 people in here. Whoa, you guys are legends. Could you please leave me a chat, a message in the chat so I can know you're there? That would be great. So now we're gonna go for another segment, and these are the colors that I'm using. So let's go with the Y3 first. Y3 first. And as I mentioned, if you're using alcohol markers, you want to be... Ooh, I actually just saw something. I missed a spot here during the inking phase. I missed a spot there. And these are the ones I use for inking. Micron pens. Best inking pens in the entire universe. It's not sponsored. Micron pens, if you're watching, I'm looking for sponsors here. Yeah, but I use Micron pens, and I'm just starting to use Ohuhu alcohol markers. So the more I draw, probably by the end of this project, I should have 40 images drawn, and I should have my marker muscles flexed a little bit. Ohuhu, if you're watching, I'm looking for sponsors, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Ohuhu, creators of Ohuhu markers. Actually, the concept is really interesting, is that they created these markers. They have a whole bunch of different series, but they're naming most of them after... they have Honolulu, they have Oahu, they have Ohuhu, different sets. Beautiful, beautiful materials. They're going for the Hawaii themes. It's beautiful stuff. So here what I'm doing is I'm literally looking to what I'm going to leave for the white when it's time to put the white ink. And I'm going over where I want it to be dark over a few times with all the 3 colors and letting it settle in. So I'm going to go back on with the Y3. And the other thing too with these alcohol markers that I've discovered is that when you leave it for a second and then you go back on it, it will actually give you differences in shades. So it will give you a darker shade if you go back on it after it dries up a little bit. Now we're going to go in with the white ink, of course. This is a Jelly Roll, number 10. I'm using number 10 because it's a little bit wider. So the first ones that I lay down, I smudge a little bit. I smudge them a little bit so they can leave a wider highlight. And then when they dry, then I can go back over them and create a more vivid highlight. So this, there is not much rhyme or reason to it, but most of it is intuitive drawing. I just draw on intuition. So I'll wait for those ones to dry up a little bit so I can go back with more vivid highlights. Meanwhile, I'm going to jump on the next one. So if you were here for the last live, you realized I took a gel pen and actually went over that. It had some color like this that went through from the previous page because I'd not put a divider like that. So it bled through. That's why I have those over there. Finally, I have a chat message from I Love Cats that says hi. Hi, I love cats. I love cats too. Here we go. I love cats too. Unfortunately, I can't have one in the house because one of my sons is actually allergic to everything on the universe, and cats would literally kill him. So instead of cats, we have pet fish. So that's why I'm having this yellow going on here, because we had the acrylic over there to try to blend off the ink that bled through the previous drawing. But it's all good. It's still all good. It's gonna actually give us sometimes the mistakes that we make while we are drawing. Oh, it's actually lifting. It's actually lifting. You can see it on the marker pointer. Oof. Yeah. And there you go. So you learn actually as you go what to do and what mistakes not to ever do again. So now I know I can't put that acrylic ink down fast and then I'll go back on with these markers. It will actually lift. So I've learned that the hard way. And these are the acrylics that I'm talking about. These are the acrylics. It's called Arteco acrylic markers. So those are the ones that I went on there first with. And I've learned that it's a mistake to put them down first if you're going to paint over them with Ohuhu markers. That's a fatal mistake I'll never do again. So that's gonna be good. Now we're gonna go back to this one. It's dry enough so we can put more vivid highlights on it. And now putting highlights, you could put both small and more vivid big highlights on there to try to give it a little bit of dynamic. But there is something, I don't know if the camera is actually picking it up, but there is a little bit of pencil work going through in there, and actually I love it. I'm loving it. So now it's dry, you put more vivid highlights on it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm impressed with that. So I'll go back on that one and do the same thing. But for now, we're gonna jump on this one. Yeah, this one has a lot of acrylic ink on it as well. I don't want to kill the patterns I started with, so I want to go from this way, going this way. And I try to put my phone kind of landscape so you guys can have a better picture of what I'm doing here. I hope it's coming through good. Everyone, if you're here, I have 8 people watching now. I love Cat says hi. If you could go in there and say hi to me too and let me know where you come from, that would be interesting. That would be interesting to know all the 8 people in here, where they come from. And any other questions that you may have, I'm an open book and I will literally answer anything that you ask if I know anything about it. If I know anything about it. Oof, that taught me a hard lesson. Never to put down acrylic fast before you color on top of it. So that's gonna go over there. And I'm gonna go for these ends as well. Yeah, and I'm trying my little best. It's tempting, but I'm trying my little best not to overdo it as well. So this one is already dry. Now we go for the vivid highlights. Making sure that I have both big ones and small ones, long and short. In my illustration style, I love accents, so I always keep breaking up lines and stuff. It's a thing that I think is cool. So that looks good. And now we're gonna go on this one for the smudge part of it. So for that one, I have to put down a little bit first. And then I go on top of it and just tap it with your finger a little bit. And I'll just wait for it to dry so I can go back on and put more vivid highlights, of course. So now, what we're gonna do is there's a certain color, which is a gray color, that I mixed with a little bit of yellow that I'm gonna go over this a little bit more. Part of it is gonna stay white, but I want this kind of feeling to be over on this edge as well. So I will grab my YR4 and I'll use this colorless blend and I'll use this gray. Now pray for me it works out the way I want it. Let me go on this side first, just for a little bit of test. Go over it with gray. And then the colorless blend. And that's not so bad. So I'm gonna do the same on this edge a little bit just to show that it's not plain white. There's a little bit of orange there as well. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go back on it with the gray. With the gray. And actually what I'm gonna do is I'll introduce a little bit of orange too. I'll introduce a little bit of just smidgets of orange before I put the colorless blend. Like so. Again, I'm fighting with the overdoing it because it's easy to get carried away. And then I'll go back on it with the colorless blend so I can make it look a little bit more fuzzy. Like so. So that gave me a direction for this, and I already know what I'm gonna do there. I'll go with the YR4, put just smidgets, just a little bit of orange, especially here where the acrylic messed me up a little bit. And then brush over it with the gray. And then I'll finish it off with the colorless blend. So you can see how all that acrylic is actually lifting on the paper. I hope it doesn't mess up the pointers of my marker. And I'm debating if I will actually go on with some white ink to make highlights on that as well. So now, this one is dry. Now we can go over it to put more vivid highlights. These have to be of different sizes and different patterns because it's not plastic, so which means it's not all the same. It's organic. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. It's more of an organic shape. There we go. Not too much. So that looks pretty good, if I may say so. And I'm gonna go for this part because it's gonna use the same colors. And then after that, we will go for this part because it uses the same colors as used over here, which is these same colors but with an addition over one orange, that is YR3. But for this one, we're going to use the same colors as this. And then for this part, we're going to use the same colors as we used here. So actually, I'm going to start with the outside part for this one. So I will go with YR4 first. And I'm going to make this a little bit more solid than the first one. So YR4 first. Smidgets of orange. And gray. And then after the gray, I go back on top with the colorless blend. So you can blend all the way through. That looks pretty good. It's washed out. It's not very pronounced like here or here. That's exactly what I'm going for. Now I'm gonna go for these sections on the inside, and those ones we already know what we do with these three: Y2, YR4, and Y3. Start with Y3. I'm actually gonna do two at the same time. Go back on with YR4. Let the alcohol blend in, and I'm being very, very light. I'm not pressing down at all. And we're gonna go back on with Y2, which is the darkest yellow we have. Oops, I need the brush tip. And we're working on two of them at the same time. Like so. So you could realize I left a little bit white in here and more white in here, and it's just gonna get brighter as it goes that way. I said I was ignoring the light, but sometimes it comes second nature. You just can't ignore it. Tap on those ones, wait for them to dry, come back on it, put more vivid highlights. Excuse me. go. So I'm gonna go for these two last ones, and it's gonna be the same process. Start with Y3. And go back on with YR4. Almost all over the entire first one. I just want the first color to show through just a little bit of it. And then I go back on with even a darker color, which is YR2. There we go. I'm gonna work on the last part too before I put the white down in this. Because it's smaller anyways. And back on with the white to darker color. If you want to see the power of white gel pen, look at these two compared to these two. Because we haven't put the white gel on these ones yet, but we have it on this one. So I'm gonna go back with the white gel on these ones. And I'll tap on that one to smudge it for a little bit. And I'll do the same for this one. I'll tap on it to smudge it. And I'll wait for all of them to dry, and I'll go back onto it with the white to add more vivid highlights. So now we're gonna need this part. So I'm gonna use the YR4 first. I'll use my gray. And I'll use the colorless blend. There we go. And for this part, I actually want to use some white over here, so it's not very pronounced. At the same time, preserving that white line over there. And at the same time, trying my level best not to overdo it, as always. So I'm gonna tap on that to smudge it a little bit. And at this point, these are dry, so they're ready for the white highlights. So now we're gonna go in with more vivid white highlights. Both thin and vivid. Just to make it feel a little bit more juicy. Juicy juice. Let the juice loose a little bit. I'll actually add highlights on this right here. I feel like the gel pen is calling it. The other thing to leave in mind too is that if you go crazy with this ink, the white ink, it dries up more white. So you want to be a little bit preservative on it as well. So I'm going to do this part here, and I'll just go for this color. And I'll wait for it to dry. So now, this looks to be good. We're going to go for this part. It's not going to be easy. That one I'll tell you for sure. We're going to use the same colors as this, but we're going to make it this time a little bit darker than this because it's a little bit far away receding in the background. So we're going to have to go more vivid of these and make it a little bit darker than this so this can pop out. That one stays in the back. And this one, because now the light seems to be coming from this side, this one stays a little lit than this. And then finally, when we do the leaves and these little juice pebbles down here, it'll bring out the composition. And then I'll just go with a little bit of gray here to put a little bit of shadow, and that will be the end of it. So even though I'm in the middle of it, I'm also still kind of trying to have a vision for how the entire thing is going to look at the end. So these ones, if you remember how we started to put these dots, they look random, but they're not very random. So we're going to try to do the same thing for this part here. I'm going to go ahead and draw a little bit of a grid on it with the light pencil. Cat Kid said it is orange. Thank you, Cat. Finally, I love it when somebody actually leaves me a message in the chat. It makes me feel like I'm not talking to myself. So I'm gonna go like this because it's round. So we're gonna try to make them go around it to feel like it's rounded. And then with a little bit of perspective, like you see, these ones are smaller than these ones down here. So they're gonna be biggest here as well. So they're gonna go random-ish, but also a little bit planned going around like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and map them in, and I'll show you how I did them as well, because we're gonna do the same thing for this, just a little darker. So I'm gonna go ahead and map them out a little bit. I want these ones closer here to be the biggest, and they're receding and getting small as they recede away from us, like so. So now we want to try to make them feel a little bit more random and vary in size a little bit as well. And of course, I like the ones that go on the edge here. They add a little bit of dimension to it. And of course, I have to always remind myself not to overdo it, which I already think I've overdone it. This actually is the same exact kind of way I did the strawberry. So I am an artist. I am an artist than my classmates. Kikat, you're saying you're an artist, so I am artist than my classmates. You a better artist than your classmates? Is that what you're saying? Oh, I see you have a strawberry on your name. Do you want to see the strawberry that I did 3 days ago? I could show you, Cat, if you want to see it. If you want to see the strawberry that I did about 3 days ago. If you want to see it, just type yes, I would like to see it in the chat, and I'll show you the strawberry. All right, so it's go time. The fireworks about to go off. It's go time. We're about to go for that. I'll rebrush it off a little bit so it's not more vivid. It doesn't go through the color. Because alcohol markers could be a little bit funny. Sometimes they may fail to close in on all these. It did it on these, but I actually kind of love it. I don't know if the camera is picking it up. Kat, if you're still here, would you like to see the strawberry that I did 3-4 days ago? Let me know in the chat if you want to see the strawberry. And there we go. All right, it's showtime. I'm just gonna add only this one to the addition. On these, the colors that we used for this, I'm adding only this orange YR3. We need YR2. And of course the colorless blend. And remember, it's alcohol markers, so we gotta go very fast. All right, so let's get going. I'm gonna start with this as the base color. And randomizing it. Randomizing it because it's not plastic, it's not planned. That's what we're going for. All right, so remember alcohol markers, if you want them to blend, you gotta go in very fast after that. So that was Y3. We're gonna go in with YR4. And YR4 is gonna stay this way a little bit more because it looks like it's giving it a darker look to it. So it's gonna stay more on this side. And now we're gonna go with YR2 Marigold. Oops. Let me swatch it real quick. Yeah. Yeah, this is gonna stay definitely on this side. This is the Marigold. So since it's darker than the markers we already have in place, you don't want to overdo it, and you want to be a little bit directional. So I'm gonna dab a little bit, and I'll leave it there. Don't overdo it, remember. Now we're gonna go with the YR3, which is the real orange now. And this is gonna be brushing over almost everything. So in some parts it's already, I think I did a big part, so it's already starting to even dry out and not blending right. So I'm gonna stop it at that, and we're gonna go over it with the YR2. Yeah, YR2 is gonna be getting the most mileage of all the markers that I've already set down on this part. It's going to be getting the most mileage. Just like that. I want to have the most coverage. There you go. It's pushing the limits a little bit. Alright, so now I'm gonna need a light YR3, and it's gonna start from this side, so it can blend in with the last orange that we went through with, and then I'll go with the marigold on this side as well. So now we're gonna need our darkest color to add a little bit of dark here. Now it's more controlled. Rub it in there a little bit. And now we seem to be doing pretty good. So this color right here, it's the darkest of all of them. YR5 is what I use for these. And we're gonna put them where you see the white spots. We have a YR1, which goes with it around as well, like you see in here. It's what does that. So we're gonna wait for those for a little bit for this to be a little bit dry. But at the same time, we're gonna go on this side. Do the same exact thing we've done here, but this time a little lighter. So which means we're not gonna need the orange. We're gonna work with only this. So I'll start with the Y3. we're going to go over y3 with yr4. And we will introduce a more vivid orange, which is yr2. Remember, when you're working with alcohol markers, you need to work very fast if you're looking to blend them. You literally need to work very fast. So, that's giving us a good effect. I'm liking it. I need a little bit of gray. And what I say all the time is at one point, you're just going to go with the intuition and just do what you feel is right at that moment. So now what I'm doing is I'm going back on with the colorless blend, just zooming almost over everything to try to make it a lot more seamless, but while keeping my pattern at the same time. And when you use this colorless blend to go over it, it will bleed even more. You can see this paper is good, but it can only take too much beating. So hence, you always have to watch out for the overdoing it. And that doesn't look bad. After we put these darks in it and put a little bit of a highlight over it, it will come out the same exact way as this one. Let me see who we have here. Kate ran away. She didn't want to see the strawberry. Anyone, if you want to see the strawberry that I did last time, which I used the same kind of principle to put these on top of it, then you can just say, just type in the chat, show the strawberry, and I'll show it to you guys. Yeah. So now, when I'm going in to carve the details, then I gotta slow down a little bit. I'm going to show you how I create each of these to create an effect like this. So this is the start of it. And I'll go for my darkest colors so far, which are these two, YR5 and YR1. So I gotta hold my breath when it comes to creating these. That's how I do those. So from those two, you can see how I ended up with this. I get a mixture of about 3 colors, and I make sure that I kind of blend it out and leave a little bit of a side of white on it. That later on, I'll show you what I'll do. I'll grab the white ink and slowly do this like that. That's how I got that damage. That's how I get that damage kind of feel to it. It's not a realistic orange, but I like what it shows me in the end. There we go. Where's my white ink? There it is. want a clean distinction between the two oranges from that point of view. In some places I don't want them very pronounced. So now that I'm going on the outside, I want to change to a less strong color, because these ones are still edges, but then the lighter area. I'll still use the gray though. Like that. So this one is not as vivid as these ones. These ones are in the darker area, so they're gonna be a little lit, a little more lit. Some of them on the end here, I'm gonna make them just purely almost white. Because the more it goes out that way, is the more lit it is. This is going to be a mixture of gray. Like so. How many food we have? We have 4 people watching now. Where are you guys from? I have have a chat on here. If you're signed into your YouTube, you could show me, you could, chat for me where you're from. So I can know those 4 legends watching me where they're from. That would be great. Alright, let's continue with this and finish the highlight on top of it here. So with this one, I'll just add white acrylic ink and then just dab on it to get the white highlights. Like that. But you also have to remember not to go too crazy with it, because what happens is that white dries a lot more white. has to randomize a little bit. Add more with I'm adding more with a lighter color, just to have it randomized and enhance its texture a little bit. And of course, as always, I'm gonna go ahead and actually overdo it. I always have to overdo it. Alright, I'll leave it at that for now. So now I'm gonna have to look at these three juices falling out of this orange, and then after these three, I'll go to the leaves. So these ones we already know the colors we're supposed to use for them. So we're gonna use the YR2, Y2, and Y3, and the colorless blend. Y2. Oh, I want the bright side of it. YR2. And the colorless blend. gonna brush over it with the colorless blend a little bit more. And I'll go over it with a little bit of white. And I'll wait for it to dry. I'm gonna do the same for these two. This is gonna be darker, lighter, lighter. So which means I have to drop my R2. I guess I might need it for the pointy part of it here. Alright, that looks good. Alright, so now we need to choose a brownish color for here and here. And we're going to choose a green color for here and here. And that will be it. So let me go ahead and figure out what green color we're going to use. This is starting to be messy here. So I'm going to take it. Turn it around. And put it like that. Alright, so I got colors that I think are gonna work for the leaf. Let me test them out. Let's say go. Let's say go. Actually, let's use this instead of this one. Yep, and that one. So now it's time for the leaves. Let's start with the lightest color. Second light. I'll go with the darkest color now. I'll go back with the second light color. And then I'll take the lightest green that I picked and brush over everything. Sometimes I may need to go over them a little bit more. And remember, alcohol markers, they dry as you go. So the same color painted in the same spot twice after waiting for the other one to dry a little bit will actually give you a darker color and a different effect. So now I can go back over it with a colorless blend to make it look more harmonious. With a little bit of white ink. And voila, one of our leaves is finally done. So I'll go for a darker color there to put that one over there. But that one will go for a gray, so I'll go for it a little later on when I'm doing this part and this part right here. For now, I'm going to use the same exact technique we've used on this leaf to go do it on this other side. But since the light is coming in from this side, we have a light bouncing on this side at the same time getting this out. We're going to have it light this way and a lot darker here. So I want here to be darker than here. So let's go ahead and give it a go. This is what I wanted to be the darkest. That's why I started with the dark colors this time. Now I'm gonna go for my lightest color on this, and I'll go crazy over everything. I think this marker is running out a little bit. So second lightest color. lightest color, crazy again over everything. And you can see it's starting to look good now. So actually for this one, I'm going to go back in with the darkest color to go in the edges a little bit. So that looks pretty good. I'll go back with the colorless blend and throw alcohol into everything. And I'm gonna use these three colors to do this outer part of the leaf. And this one I'm actually gonna add real yellow that I didn't use in any of this or this. And that's how that is gonna look. But I'll go back with a little bit of white. Put some uninterrupted highlights around it. Like so. I'm actually going to interrupt this one. I don't want it to be vivid to show out. So I think we're going to use the same green color for this part right here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the darkest green, my lightest green, and a little bit of yellow. So there's not going to be too much science in this one. I'm just going to go ahead and actually go green, light green, and some yellowish color. Not too much science. I'm going to go with my darkest color and put little accents up there. Go in with the white ink. Put some reflection on it, and that's it. Sometimes I've done my best work without overthinking it. Literally just going in there and doing something like that without overthinking it whatsoever. And just highlight it a little bit. Actually, I think I'm going to need a darker green. That's it. Alrighty, so I have a good feeling about this one. A really good feeling about this one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in here and we'll finish with that. So I'm gonna need some gray and yellow. I'm gonna need some gray and dark yellow. So I'm gonna start with this color. Then I'll give it a gray. Then I'll go back in with this color again. And I'll choose a more vivid orange for this. Colorless blend. And white. Remember not to go crazy with this white, because what happens is it dries wider. But it helps so much to highlight your work. And now that I look at it, I think I may need more here. I'm gonna go for a gray orange base here, and we're done. So I'm gonna need a little bit more gray. Let me use a warm gray. Yeah, like this. And I'll mix it with this light orange. And I'll put a little bit of the blend down. And then I'll brush it over with this. More warm gray. Oof, that's pretty much it. That's it, guys. Whoever came with me and you're still here, this one, I'm gonna say it's done. I'm not gonna stress much about it. It's the practice that I'm getting drawing with these alcohol markers, and hopefully by the time we finish this entire project of 40 images going through Inktober, hopefully I'll have gained some good skills on using alcohol markers. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Please let me know in the chat. There is actually a chat running where you can go ahead and type an instant message that I'll be able to see right away, if you so wish to. That will be good. So this is just adding a few minor details, and of course, as usual, overdoing it. So we'll sign this. And I can show you guys some of the work that we've done in this book. So this entire project started off as a mistake, because what happened is I went to Staples to print out my work, to print out one of my books, and they made a terrible mistake. They printed it out very bulky like this. So what I decided is that since they gave me free paper after each coloring page, I was going to go ahead and actually create an original work for the free page that they gave me in here. So I'll show you what it looks like. This is the book. So if you buy it on Amazon, it's going to look like this. This is what the Amazon book looks like. And it has a color test page, and it's all titles. So you have all title images that I drew in here for you guys, so you can be able to color. This is what the coloring book looks like. It has 2 bonus pages from my mandala project, from my hand-drawn mandala project, and I'll show you the 2 bonus pages. That's one of the bonus pages. It's on my mandala project. This is the other bonus page from my mandala project. So the mandala book is this one. These are both online. You can get them on Amazon, and the link is in the chat, is in the pinned message on the chat. But what I was talking about is this, how this came into existence. So I went to go print that book on cardstock, and what they did, they gave me a bulky thing. You can look at it. So the formatting was not good, and they misprinted it. So what I did is I said, thank you for it. And what I do now is I go ahead and color in the page that is supposed to be part of the coloring book. This is on cardstock. So when I color the page, the next page is going to be blank. What I do is I create an illustration on that page. And this way I practice to use these markers. This is the first time I'm using markers ever. So on the next one is going to be a coloring page. So I go ahead and color that in. But then afterwards, the next one is always going to be blank. So I go ahead and draw an original illustration on that one. And the second one is going to be a coloring page. And the next one is a drawing that I did. Then we go coloring page. Then we go. This is today's work. This is what we just did on this live. So, I know by the end of this project, if I can finish it, because it's going to be really a long project. It's 40 pages in here with 2 extra pages. So I have to have 42 drawings at the end of the project. So if you're here tomorrow's live, it's going to be us coloring this bad boy in. So this is going to be tomorrow's work. We're going to be coloring in. Actually, coloring in is faster, and I should say a lot easier than the original images that we have to create from scratch. So this is what we did today. And this is what we're going to color in tomorrow. And then after that, I'll have a blank page on which I'll have to create an original image. And then after that, there's going to be a coloring page, and so on and so forth until we finish all the 40 images in this book. So by the time we finish, let me show you image number 40. By the time we color in the last piece, which is a bonus page, we will have 40 original drawings and 40 coloring pages all finished up. And then after that, I don't know what to do with this book. Maybe I'll auction it off and see if it will go to the highest bidder. But for now, that's the progress. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Whoever's started with me and you're still here, hi Cat, hi, I love cats, and everybody who's here, please, you can leave me a message in the chat, or you could go ahead and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss like tomorrow's live. I usually go live around the same time, 8 in the morning Eastern time, and then we stay on for about 3 hours. Today we didn't stay on for long. We stayed on for about 2 hours. Look at that. That's also testing these markers and what they can do for you. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye bye for now.